It's been a very active spring season, not only in terms of the heavy soaking rainfall, but also in terms of severe weather and thunderstorms. Meteorologist John Burchfield here with this week's edition of the Climate Friday newsletter. You can subscribe at WTOL.com/email for new climate related information each and every week. This week, we're going to be talking about the tornadoes and the large hail that occurred across northwest Ohio, southern Michigan, and northeast Indiana earlier this week. On Tuesday, a widespread severe weather outbreak brought a number of tornadoes and severe weather reports to the region. Now, across the country, just Tuesday alone brought 29 preliminary tornado reports. It was an active week, not only here at home, but also across a good portion of the lower 48 United States. Now, locally, the National Weather Service Northern Indiana branch confirmed at least 7 tornado touchdowns. Keep in mind, this is a preliminary number, and some of the storm survey teams are still working on getting up-to-date information regarding the tornado tracks and the tornado intensities. Now, some of those surveys have brought us back some data on local tornadoes. You can subscribe to the newsletter for updates as we see more of those storm reports. Now, this was a notable tornado that occurred not necessarily in our viewing area, but towards Portage, Michigan, near Kalamazoo. You may have read about that one in the news or seen it on social media, that demolished a FedEx facility and did significant structural damage. This one had peak wind speeds of 135 and was rated an EF2 by the National Weather Service up in Grand Rapids. You can see the radar screenshot just to the south of Kalamazoo near Portage. Really shows you that heavy rain, lots of lightning, and even a bit of a hook near Portage where you can see the rotation that occurred with that storm cell. Now, this one was on the ground for a significant amount of time, and that allowed it to do some serious damage for folks in southwestern Michigan. It touched down at 5:55 p.m. and was on the ground until 6:17, so over 20 minutes of tornado damage on the ground. It traveled 11 miles, which is fairly long tracked, and this was the first ever tornado emergency in Michigan state history. Now, locally, we do have some updated survey information, in particular a Palen County tornado that touched down near Melrose. Even this radar screenshot, it does show a bit of that rotation and twisting that occurred. This one was also on the ground for a fairly long duration of time, and the updated storm survey from the Northern Indiana NWS shows 6.18 miles of tornado damage that occurred. This one was on the ground for approximately 5 minutes from 8:09 p.m. to 8:14, and the WTOL 11 weather team was on air as well as on Facebook, on social media, and YouTube Live, keeping you updated. Wind speeds with this EF1 were 105 miles an hour, and that was enough to damage at least 15 homes in Palen County, as well as do a number of other structural damage reports. Nearby city, that was Melrose. This was thankfully not the most populous area, but still did do some damage. No injuries or fatalities reported. Last but not least, we do have information on a Putnam County tornado, and this one occurred around 8:54 p.m. Tuesday evening. Now, you may have never heard of an EFU tornado. Essentially, what that means is that the rating is unknown. In other words, the tornado did occur. It was reported via photo, video, and social media reports. However, there isn't enough evidence to really determine a rating. The National Weather Service, when they send out their survey teams, they essentially do what we call investigative meteorology, looking for damage to buildings, homes, structures that may be representative of the wind speed. However, this one, it occurred in a fairly rural area near the village of Belmore in Putnam County, and really other than the farm fields that were out there, there wasn't enough damage to determine a rating, so that one will go down as an EFU. A number of storm reports across the region, including funnel cloud and tornado reports, with one supercell thunderstorm. Now, the storm cell that dropped a tornado in Putnam County started off in southeast Fort Wayne, trekked into Paulding County, and eventually made its way there towards Putnam and even Henry counties. Here is a closer look at some of those storm reports that occurred right along the Wood, Hancock, Henry, and Putnam County intersection. Further to the west of us in Paulding County, a number of reports via photo, video, and social media. Now, this is what we call a supercell thunderstorm. It is discrete and solo. Essentially, it's one lone thunderstorm rather than a line of storms. When you get a line of storms, those often bring gusty straight line winds, but a supercell discrete thunderstorm, those typically rotate. Now, you'll notice it started off near the 469 corridor in Fort Wayne. It trekked across the state line into Paulding County and eventually made its way all the way to the east of I-75, finally weakening as it made its way there. Again, a closer view shows you there was a funnel cloud reported in Continental, as well as a number of other funnels that were spotted across the region. Now, I do want to show you some photos that we have, and this one was taken by Cindy, and it actually shows you that Melrose tornado. You can really see the condensation that occurred with that one, and it really occurred, before sunset, so it was pretty visible there. And again, that was near the village of Melrose. I do have another photo to share with you. This was of a funnel that occurred at Continental, and you can see the tree line there on the horizon. This one didn't quite reach the tree line, so based on this, we can say that a funnel cloud occurred, and this is likely associated with that EFU tornado in Putnam County that I shared with you earlier. Right now, this photo shows a funnel, not necessarily a tornado, but that is the precursor to a funnel cloud. In addition to the tornadoes and the funnels, we also saw some large damaging hail across northern Indiana from Fort Wayne up towards Angola. Wow, some large hail was reported. In fact, baseball, if not larger than baseball-sized hail occurred. Here is a photo that occurred in Ashley, Indiana, and for reference, there is a quarter, and you can see these hailstones are quite large, maybe not quite baseball size, but perhaps tennis ball size hail. The largest hail report in Ashley was 3.5 inches in diameter. Some significant large and damaging hail occurred with these storms. In addition to the severe weather, the rainfall just keeps on piling up, and many area farmers really need some reprieve. Our annual 2024 rainfall is up to 17.6 inches of rain, making it one of the wettest starts to the year on record. And in terms of the spring rainfall, we are now over a foot of rain at 12.42. That is our spring rainfall total. One of the top 4 wettest springs on record thus far, and this trend is likely to continue into the middle of May, with periodic rain chances continuing into the start of the weekend. As we get additional storm surveys, we'll continue to update you on WTOL 11 online as well. And if you're not already subscribed, WTOL.com/email. We'll have new climate change related information each and every week.